How can I relieve anxiety? I hope you can stay tuned. Now, there was someone in the Old Testament that experienced anxiety, so much so that he wrote many of the Psalms. These are songs that he used to play to God. And in Psalm 55, we can understand the context pretty much by the content within it. King David experienced massive anxiety at one time because more than half of his kingdom were against him. And this was spearheaded by his very own son, Absalom, who set up an army to overthrow David. Now, people all around him were saying horrible things. He had fear of being attacked wherever he went, but worse still, it was his very own son, one who he loved so much, ended up betraying him. And he felt anguished in heart. He felt fearful for his own life. He was trembling, and the horrors of it all made him feel so overwhelmed. And this is what he cried out. He said, "Oh, that I had the wings of a dove. I would fly away and be at rest. Indeed, I would wander far off and remain in the wilderness." I wonder if you've ever felt like this, that what you're going through is so overwhelming that you wish you could just escape and get away. Now, oftentimes when issues become so big or you've experienced trauma in your life, this is what is called escapism. And there are many ways in which we can escape, and a lot of the times this is how addiction forms. But David didn't escape, but he gave all of his problems, his fears, his worries, his anxieties to someone else. He gave them to God. He said this, "Cast your burdens upon the Lord, and he shall sustain you. He shall never permit the righteous to be moved." I try to think of practical ways we can give our anxieties, our worries, our fears, our problems, our burdens to God. Now, there's a helpful analogy that we can use that can help us give our anxieties to God. You imagine if you were staying around someone's house and this person was a famous violinist who played for a really renowned orchestra, and you managed to knock over their only violin, and you've subsequently found out that this violin was a Stradivarius. A Stradivarius violin, for all of you who know about violins, not many of us do, was worth millions. Not only that, but it was so precious to the violinist. Can you imagine how you would feel? You would feel worried and fearful and burdened because you've broke this violin. How on earth am I going to fix it? What is my friend going to say when they come back? And then you realise that you knew someone who fixes vintage, expensive violins, and you phoned him up and he said, "Don't worry, I fix these every day and it will come back to you as new. All you have to do is give it to me and not worry." So when you hand over that violin, you are at peace. In the same way, or a similar way, we're supposed to give our burdens to the Lord. Now remember, a burden is that feeling of being weighed down heavily, and we give that heavy load to God, knowing that just as this violin expert could fix this violin, knowing that God can solve every single problem. He is the one who's in control of all things, and you're actively casting your burdens, your anxieties upon him. Now that word cast is quite a strong word because it's the same word when Joseph's brothers cast him into the pit. In the same way, we are to cast our burdens, our anxieties upon the Lord. Now, who is the Lord? Well, obviously, the Lord is Jesus. Jesus himself says, "Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light." So if you're weighed down with a heavy load, if you're burdened, fearful, anxious, or worried, come to Jesus. Remember, he says, "Come to me." That's the person of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, the one in whom all authority and heaven and earth has been given. And get in the yoke with him. Remember, a yoke is an instrument that would be placed over two oxen, that they would plough the field together. So get in the yoke with him. Let him do the pulling. So I hope that you can give your anxieties, your worries, your burdens, your heavy load to the Lord today. Remember to cast your burdens, your anxieties upon him. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget to like, to subscribe, or if you really like this video, to share it with others. And don't forget to preach the word in season and out of season. And I'll see you on the next video. Goodbye.